Hey, everybody, what's going on? This your man, Big B, Brian Hanley. Welcome back to Steelers Almighty. Woo! This is our report card edition. Pittsburgh Steelers victory over the Indianapolis Colts 27-20. Lot of good things from this Pittsburgh Steelers, especially on the defensive side. Some subtleties, little subtle schematic changes, which is interesting. That's all that us fans have been asking for. I'll let you know exactly some of the little changes that the defense did. But overall, it was a pretty good performance. Up and down on the offense. We'll dig into that, but we can't nitpick too much. The Steelers won a football game over a team that I don't think anybody, myself included, didn't think they were going to be able to win, and they did. And the performance, we graded it not bad. Not bad by the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll get into all that and more. So remember to continue to like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Remember, get in that comment section like you always do, and always hit the notification bell so you know exactly when Steelers Almighty content comes out. Woo! All 22 will be out tomorrow, too. So remember that of the offensive line play. But we'll get into this, and let's break all this down, ladies and gentlemen. So, first things first, quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, I thought it was a solid day by Aaron Rodgers. He's 25 for 35, 203, kind of dinked and dunked his way down the field. But in my opinion, I think it was more by design, not necessarily Aaron Rodgers himself. I mean, looking at the all 22, there wasn't that many plays that got called that said, okay, here's a vertical, let's give it an opportunity. Last week, I was critical of Rodgers because he missed a touchdown to DK Metcalf to throw the ball to Spencer Anderson for no reason, and there were other times where he could have taken shots down the field and he didn't do it. This week, that wasn't the case. There just wasn't that many opportunities given, if really any, to say, okay, Aaron, go ahead and force this one down the field and let's see what happens. Just wasn't enough of those plays called for Aaron Rodgers this week. I thought he did a good job. I mean, he ran into a sack one time, especially at the end of the game, but he's supposed to do that. They call a run play. You want to keep the clock running. You're not going to just throw the ball to, just to do it. Nobody's open. I get it. Held the ball a couple of times, especially on that first sack. We'll get into it, but he could have thrown the football on that one. But either way, I just thought Rodgers played a pretty good football game yesterday. I mean, another touchdown at that drive that we had that Darnell Washington and hit him right in the chest. I don't know what else you want Rodgers to do. Right in the chest. Washington wasn't ready for it. Thought it was a good day. B plus for Aaron Rodgers on the day. Like I said, not a lot of opportunities for him to go down the field with the football, but I think that was by design. Arthur Smith just didn't call a lot of those plays. And he didn't force anything into coverage. He didn't put the ball into harm's way. I thought it was a good job based on what the game plan was, and especially how we were running the football, which made it even more difficult for him to play quarterback. But I thought it was a good day for Aaron Rodgers. Now, moving on to running back. Look, I always predicate this first by saying the running backs are only going to be as good as what your offensive line was. And the running backs didn't have a good day yesterday. I mean, look, 1.7 yards a carry. What am I supposed to say? you know. However, there are opportunities where sometimes, and I also mentioned this, backs have to help the offensive line. Sometimes you got to run to open areas. Sometimes you've got to help them as much as they help you, you know, and sometimes you got to be great. Sometimes you got to make something out of nothing. They didn't do that yesterday in the run game. They didn't make something out of nothing in the run game yesterday. And that's why I gave him the grade that I did, which was a C. Because again, you can only do so much with not enough blocking. Okay, I get that part. But again, sometimes you have to just be special. You got to be able to find something when there's not anything there, which kind of separates regular running backs or even good running backs from great running backs. And yesterday, while this group all year has been pretty good, yesterday they were not. So I gave them a C. I just thought they were average. I thought they were average. Again, tough to run when you're not getting the blocking that you deserve. But also, you have to be able to create something sometimes that maybe you get your line a little bit momentum of saying, okay, I got to do a little bit better. He's willing to do this, and fight for a yard, fight when there's nothing here. Okay, I got to get something going. And yesterday, now granted, they were good as far as pass protection. I mean, Jalen Warren, I don't know when he's ever going to be bad in pass protection. I mean, he just keeps blowing up defensive ends. He did it again yesterday twice. I'm like, when are you guys going to learn? One of these days, you guys are going to learn. Stop coming in here all high before you literally get cut in half. But other than that, I just thought it was an average day out of the running backs yesterday. Now, as far as the wide receivers, and again, I include the tight ends, I didn't think it was a good day. Look, I'm not done with Jonnu Smith, but I was high on him a couple weeks ago, so high I was ready to get rid of Pat Freiermuth. I've done a 180. If the Steelers wanted to move on from Jonnu, I would be okay with it. I would be fine. Now they're not going to do that, and they shouldn't do that. That's just me being emotional. You know how I get, people. You know how I am. Having said all of that, he dropped the first pass of the game. I mean, that's at least a 30-yard completion. And if he makes a move, who knows? It could have been a touchdown. There's only him and the safety. There's the only people there. I don't know. And DK Metcalf, 2 catches, 6 yards? Come on, people. And you can say, well, they didn't throw him the ball. Well, part of that, DK wasn't open. I mean, he was not open. Aaron Rodgers, I mentioned it earlier. He didn't force the ball. The one time that he did throw, now it was a bad ball, that fade route in the end zone. But DK's bigger than that guy. Sometimes you just got to go play big. But again, that wasn't a great ball by Rodgers. I don't know. I think you got to do more for DK Metcalf, and that kind of goes back to Arthur Smith to get him more involved in the football game. That run down at the goal line. Come on, what are we doing? Throw him the football and let him do some stuff there. I thought Darnell Washington. I know he dropped a couple, but that slant pattern, we got to continue to use this guy. We just got to continue to use him. I mean, when you get a 315-pounder that can run a slant route like he ran, or catch a ball. Remember that ball that was behind him on the little crosser? It was behind him, and he reaches back and catches it. He's got to be even more. He was a big part of the offense. He's got to be even more because he is a skilled guy that can catch the football out there. He's a skilled pass catcher. Freiermuth is starting to come on. Again, we're utilizing him, and he's showing his worth. The reason I wanted him traded before is because the Steelers weren't going to use him. So I said, well, why have him on the team if you're not going to use him? Well, now that they're actually using him, imagine that. Well, Freiermuth could do something. It was never that he couldn't do anything. It was just, well, if we're not going to use him, what's the point in having him? And maybe it's the thing is that, look, there were 25 completions yesterday to a multitude of people. And I think that's kind of what everybody's got to start getting used to. One guy isn't going to have, 12 catches or anything. Now, DK's got to have probably 4 or 5 catches, pushing 80 yards, things of that nature. But nobody's going to have 12 catches in a football game this year. If that happens, it means the Steelers are probably really far behind, and we're just airing it out every single play, and that's not good for anybody because Arthur Smith wants to spread it around. Calvin Austin was good yesterday. Again, when he's being utilized, he can make plays for you. Look for an extension for Calvin Austin at the end of the year if he wants to stick around as a Steeler. He may or may not. I don't know. But I think that would be a risky move to have Calvin Austin get away from the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the Steelers need to do what they can to keep him. That's just my personal opinion. I would love to have him on the team moving forward. But Roman Wilson, I just hope Roman Wilson doesn't go in the doghouse. I have no idea why the hell he's trying to jump over people wearing 4-minute offense. Again, I fault Arthur Smith. Why don't you just run the damn football with running backs versus giving it to him? What made him or possessed to make him try to jump over? So I just don't know. I just don't know what the hell he was doing. And to fumble the football like that, I'm like, what are you doing, man? I hope it doesn't shatter his confidence. And I hope that he continues to play and continues to be a part of it, of the offense. Look, the wide receivers overall, I know that was a long rant. I gave them a D. I didn't think they were that good. I just didn't. And the reason being, Jonnu Smith wasn't great. DK wasn't great. Maybe that's being a little harsh. But again, we had a wide receiver fumble my football. You know how I feel about that. And I just didn't think 203 yards, it's not enough. Offensive play calling had something to do with it. I understand all of that. I just didn't think it was a great day overall by the receivers. I could have given them a C, but I didn't. I gave them a D because it was a below average effort. It was below average effort. When your top guy can't get off press coverage to get open, that's a problem for me, people. That's all I'm saying. Offensive line, look, this was a bad game. I mean, 1.7 yards per carry. What am I supposed to do with that? There were no running lanes, too much position blocking, which we're going to show you in the all 22 tomorrow. Too much position blocking versus people just trying to drive their feet and run block and move people out of the way. That's what it was. Too many guys just trying, okay, I'm inside where the hole is supposed to be, and they're gonna run behind me versus, I'm gonna move this guy against his will and drive my feet and get him out of the way. Not enough of that. Just not enough of that. And it showed. It showed in the run game. Look, the Steelers O-line had been very good over the last 3 weeks, I'm gonna say, as far as run blocking in the run game. They'd been really good, maybe even 4 weeks. They had been good. Even though, hey, they hadn't run for 160, 70 yards, they were running for 4 yards a carry. So they had been good. Not today. They were not good today. The pass blocking was spotty at times. I gave them a D. I gave them a D. I just didn't think it was a good effort overall. They have to be better than this. Again, running backs have to help them from time to time too. But your job is to open up holes for a running back to run through. There just weren't any. There just weren't any. There wasn't a case where guys, there's a huge hole and guys are just missing it. No. This was a case of offensive line just not doing their job. It just wasn't a good effort. And, okay. But we got away with one because we won the football game. But if we're all being honest, you can't say that the line even played average. Get 1.7 yards a carry. I could have given them an F, but the pass blocking wasn't terrible. And there's two sides to this. So, but it just wasn't a good day for the O-line. Not at all. Then you go to overall, look, 27 points. I'm probably going to be a little more harsh than what some people may think, but they scored 27 points, but 6 turnovers. I think it's egregious. I'll be honest with you. You only scored 27 points with 6 turnovers. That's you should have 40 points in this football game. I blame Arthur Smith some. I blame the O-line. I blame the wide. I blame everybody. I mean, you got to play better. The offense has to play better. We still haven't seen the complete game. We'll get to that, but the defense, if they can get you 6 extra possessions, just think about that. That's 6 extra possessions. You have to be able to do something with that. And I know people are going to say, well, I think they scored 24 points off of turnovers. 6 turnovers, you should have 40 points. I'm sorry, people. I'm sorry. That is just no ifs, ands, or buts about that. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts. They scored 27. It was just okay. It was just okay for me. But I'm going to grade them a grade lower than okay. I'm giving them a D on the day. Again, some are thinking, come on, B, you can't be so hard. Man, it just wasn't a great effort by the offense, And again, it's a week-to-week thing. And this week, the offense didn't hold up their edge or their end of the bargain. They just didn't. And that's wild to say when they scored 27 points, but it should have been 40. And we couldn't run the ball. We literally couldn't run the ball. You look at the total yards. I mean, Steelers didn't have that many total yards. Like, I get it because we got so many turnovers and we didn't have that far to go very often. But come on, guys. This just has to be a better effort from the offense. Got to be a better effort. They were 3 for 6 inside the red zone. That's well below what our season average is. Got to be able to score more touchdowns. It wasn't a pathetic effort, but it wasn't a good one either, if we're all just being honest. Let's move to the defense. Now, look, defense has been taking it on the head lately, especially the defensive line. I don't know where we're going to start today, but the D-line, 4 or 5 sacks of the 5 sacks, 5 of the 6 quarterback hits, 2 strip sacks, pass defended. I mean, this D-line did everything. They also plugged up the run. They played against the run very, very well, helped the linebackers be able to run and make tackles. They just made life miserable for Daniel Jones all game long. And this is the type of effort that we need. I'm not saying that you got to get 5 sacks and, 2 strip sacks every week. All I'm saying is harass quarterbacks, stop the run, get after quarterbacks. Make it so the Steelers don't have to blitz so often. You get after them. TJ Watt, perfect example. TJ Watt was getting double teamed, but the thing that I had said about TJ Watt was I was disappointed because he allowed double teams to just take him out of football games when the other big time pass rushers, they were Myles Garrett, your Micah Parsons, didn't allow them to take them out of pass rush, didn't allow them to take out of games. It just didn't. TJ had allowed that to start happening. He didn't do that against the Colts. He continued to pressure, continued to say, okay, fine, you're going to chip. Well, I'm going to make you chip. He made that tight end block him. And then the tackle, when he's behind him, I'm going to make you block me versus saying, yeah, I know I can't get there, so I'm going to stop. He didn't do that. The effort was there. They had a good rotation, and he stayed fresh, but the effort, all of that was there from TJ. Oh, and he made a couple plays when they decided, we don't need to double team you. We'll just single block you. And TJ said, hold my beer. And that's all we're asking for the man. That's all we're asking from the man. Is if you want to go ahead and single block me, fine. One-on-one, I'm going to beat you, and I'm going to make you pay for it. He did that. Alex Highsmith did the same thing on the other side. Keanu Benton was a force. Keanu Benton always had good pass rush moves. His whole issue was stopping the run. Did a good job of that yesterday. Did a good job. There was a couple times that he got knocked out of the way. But for the most part, Keanu Benton was really, really good against the run yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. He was. Derek Harmon was phenomenal against the run yesterday, and so was Y.A. Black. Y.A.'s not going to give you a big pass rush, and he didn't, but he was good. Look, the D-line gets an A+ for yesterday. Everything that they did, this is the type of effort that we need from them on a week-to-week basis. If they can do that, that will allow the Steelers to play more in coverage and not have to blitz to get home. That's the difference. Those front four have to do their job. Look, Herbig did his job. Didn't hear his name called a ton yesterday, but that's because they assigned more resources. Imagine that. They're starting to assign more resources to Nick Herbig so other guys can be free. It's exactly what we're asking. Just do your job. Just do your job. It's great effort by the D-line yesterday. Linebackers. This one starts and ends with Peyton Wilson, ladies and gentlemen. The guy was phenomenal. Look, he's taking it personal that the Steelers have said, hey, we're going to bring somebody else in to stop the run besides you because you have proven you can't do it. The last 2 weeks, he's saying, hold on, guys. Give me a second. I'm going to get this thing figured out. And he's done it. 14 tackles yesterday, 10 solo. He was all over the place again like a madman. He had an interception, 2 passes defended. He's like, nope. Sorry, guys. I'm the guy. I know it didn't start off great this year. I apologize, but just give me another chance. I'm the guy. And he's showing it. Patrick Queen I don't have anything bad to say about Patrick Queen. He didn't miss a bunch of tackles like he has the last several weeks. Didn't have any solos, but it was okay. You didn't know the thing about Patrick Queen. You didn't notice anything bad about him in this football game, which I know you're thinking, hey, we got a linebacker. We're paying this kind of money. Come on, Big B. That can't be the best thing to say about him. I'm sorry. Over the last 3 weeks, just to say that Patrick Queen, we didn't notice him not making any mistakes, that's a huge improvement over what he has been putting out there on the field the last 3 weeks. Can he be better? Sure he can. But at least he wasn't bad. He was above average yesterday, which is a good thing. Malik Harrison also played a good job. I'm interested. Steelers made a subtlety. We'll get to that when it comes to coaching. But Malik Harrison played yesterday, played well. I think it's going to be a battle. When Cole Holcomb comes back, who's going to be that other linebacker that plays? It'd be very interesting to see. Look, I give the linebackers an A+. Like I said, it starts and ends with how well Peyton Wilson has played, and just basically saying, okay, I was a young guy. Maybe I didn't understand what I'm supposed to do, where I'm supposed to go, but I'm getting it now. I'm getting it now. I like what this unit did against the Indianapolis Colts. Again, Jonathan Taylor, 45 yard, 14 carries, which that's egregious for them, but 45 yards, they did their job. They did their job. Good job for them. Now the secondary. I'll probably be a little more harsh than what some people would be. 342 yards passing is still 342 yards passing. Okay. I get it. I get it. A lot of that came in empty stats, garbage time, but they still got the score to 7 points. I think that's something that we can't just ignore and act like this was a 20-point victory. It wasn't, you know, and they went down the field. There was two guys that had over 100 yards receiving. Joey Porter Jr. had two penalties. I will say this about JPJ. While he still had those two penalties, he didn't play a bad game. Like, if you want to just say those two penalties meant he had a bad game, okay, fine. But the overall, the totality of what he did against the Colts, yeah, it wasn't a bad game by him. The Steelers made some subtle changes on defense in the secondary, and it made a difference. They played a lot of cover two. We'll get into the schematics of it, but I just didn't. I thought the secondary was average. I thought they were good when they needed to be. The difference to me, though, and I gave them a C on the day, was Kyle Duggar and Jalen Ramsey. I just thought those guys were phenomenal. I thought they were phenomenal. Jalen Ramsey locked up Tyler Warren when they were in man-to-man coverage. Warren had 5 catches for 26 yards on the day. And that's a guy that had been, especially looking at the Steelers, you're like, okay, tight ends have been killing us all year. They destroyed us the week before with the Green Bay Packers. Let's see what we can do when we match up their tight end, their main weapon as far as the tight end goes, and Jalen Ramsey. Let's see what happens when we go man to man. Yeah, he won that battle all day long. All day long. So again, C, because again, 342, still 342, people. Let's not kid ourselves. But they made enough plays. They made enough plays back there. And hopefully our man Slay can stop getting injured. I mean, he doesn't get the big injury, and that's what I'm afraid of, is that a big injury is coming. I hope not, man, because I get it. He's not great. He's not great at all, but he's serviceable. But he keeps getting injured, and these little injuries, I'm afraid it's going to add up to a big injury, and I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen because what we say about him, we still need him to play. We still need him to play. But Eccles was okay. Pierre, again, Big G's not going to be happy, but Eccles was good. Or Eccles and Pierre were both good. So solid effort, but just average for me. Just average. And then overall, look, I can't be, and I'm not going to be, don't want to be too harsh. So I'll just say it real quick. The defense gets an A. You get 6 turnovers, 5 sacks. You only give up 20 points to a team that's averaging 33 points a game. You know, the best offense in the National Football League, and you shut them down. Period. You get an A. Yes, you gave up a lot of yards. I totally understand that. But we did mention some of those yards were kind of garbage yards. I get it. But everything else was good. They made some subtle changes. They just did. The scheme made a little difference. I know we've been complaining about the scheme, but they did some things differently to be able to shut them down. You held down one of the best running backs in the league. I mean, he was the number 1 running back in the league. You held him to 45 yards. I mean, some of that was the Colts just deciding, okay, we're not going to give it to him enough, but that's not our problem. What we did to stop them may have made them a little bit more one-dimensional and decided that they couldn't run the football. Well, that's good for us. That's the whole point of this. So good job by the defense yesterday. Special teams, look, Boz is Boz. You know that. Coverage units got a turnover. Didn't let them get out the gate on any returns. I mean, special teams was good as usual, man. And also that little subtle thing, we took a penalty on an extra point and kicked the ball out of bounds, and they only got the ball at the 25-yard line. I mean, it's one of those just subtle things that most fans, myself included, didn't know, because the kickoff rules are wild these days. I mean, you got to study them to know them. I don't feel like taking the time to do that. I just know that our coverage units were pretty good, so they get an A for the day. Now, coaching. Look, I've already said that I wasn't happy with Arthur Smith's game plan, and I wasn't. You know, down in the red zone, trying to get too cute. You're going for it on fourth down. What's the golden rule on third down? Run the damn ball. We didn't do that, and I just thought some of the stuff that he did, trying to get too cute, versus just being, hey, we've been a physical football team trying to run the ball. The Steelers just didn't do that. We kind of got away from that. Didn't like the game plan from Arthur Smith. On the flip side, the defense, on the other hand, look, the Steelers only blitzed 25% of the time, which was way down from what they had been doing in previous weeks, basically all season long. Didn't blitz as much, played a lot of cover two, you know, and allowed our players to go make football plays. But one subtlety also that the Pittsburgh Steelers did that I don't know if it went noticed or not, you guys let me know, is that when they were in their 21 personnel or 12 personnel, a lot of times the Steelers are in their base 3-4 defense. Well, yesterday against the Colts, if you noticed, the Steelers went to a 4-3. They had Malik Harrison, Patrick Queen, and Peyton Wilson all on the field at the same time. Just something subtle. Keep Peyton Wilson out there covering a tight end, which he can do, running around, making plays. It's just these little subtle things to be able to flip something and do something a little different that an offense isn't expecting. The Steelers did that. Usually they go, okay, well, we're going to match up and we're going to go our base 3-4, or we're even going to go to nickel and bring in an extra safety versus an extra DB or an extra corner and try to match up with you that way. Steelers didn't do that. They went to an extra linebacker. It worked. They were able to stop the run, and they were also able to cover people in that. Went to a ton of cover two shell a lot in this game. It worked. Or a lot of cover two man, which is even better. Joey Porter Jr. playing a ton of press coverage. Look, I'd give the coaches a B+ yesterday because as much as I didn't like Arthur Smith's game plan, that's how much I like the game plan from the defense. I didn't think Arthur Smith was so egregious that we should, it wasn't great. No, the coaching on the defensive side was a good thing. They made changes, and that's all we've been asking for, right? Do something different. Do something that the offense doesn't know that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to do. Because that's what we've all been complaining about, is that all these teams know exactly what we're going to do and when we're going to do it. Well, we did something a little different. And guess what? It worked. Maybe it had Daniel Jones hold the ball just a half second longer. Somebody can get home. Maybe it had him think, okay, I can throw the ball here. Oh, there's a linebacker there. Interception. Just anything different to throw you off just a little bit. The Steelers did that. That's why I give them a B+ on the day. I thought it was a great coaching job, man. And then overall, look, the Pittsburgh Steelers won a game yesterday against a team that most people, myself included, didn't think they were going to be able to do. They beat the Colts. Give them the credit. They won the football game. They made necessary changes. The defense played physical in the run game, basically making the Colts one-dimensional, and they did enough on offense. Not to our liking. It wasn't, but it was enough. It was enough. We're still searching for that perfect game, or the complete game, we should say. Maybe not perfect. We're still searching for the complete game, but I'll take it. I give them a B+ overall. Pittsburgh Steelers were good yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. They were good. And whether you want to say, well, the Colts, they hadn't played anybody. Well, or were the Steelers considered anybody? That would be my first question. Were we considered anybody? Well, maybe we are considered somebody. Maybe we are. That makes me happy. So I like the effort. I like what we did. And more importantly, I like the win. So appreciate everybody, man. Thank you guys for being in here and showing out. Remember, all 22 of the offensive line is coming out tomorrow. Make sure you guys show up. Remember, like, follow, subscribe, continue to get in the comments section, and always hit that notification bell so you know exactly when Steelers Almighty content comes out. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, aloha.